Batman issue 57 has a pinup calendar inside, apparently, so we'll have to check that out, I guess. The first story is, I think, the second time where we had, like, Bruce and Robin being torn apart by the legal system or whatever, and I like the fact that their Bruce and Dick designs are very generic, so they had to make sure that people knew it was Batman and Robin. Anyway, the story is basically a nothing burger, but I do like this panel at the end where the cape and cowl is sitting between Batman and Robin at the dinner table. I love the way that it's drawn, and I love the symbolism of it. Batman and Robin invented the Scooby-Doo formula with this one 20 years before Scooby-Doo even aired. Look at this gorgeous panel. It looks straight out of a Scooby-Doo episode with the shadow on the wall and everything. But I do think that it's really funny that right here, they use basically the same composition that I praised in my last video about the Vicky Vale shot with the camera and everything. I like to think that Jim Mooney like drew that and then got really praised around the office or whatever. Like the next time he was there, like, hey man, I saw what you did in the last issue. That shit was awesome. And then Dick Sprang, who did this issue, was like, it's not even that cool. I can do something like that too. And then he did a much worse version of it. Here's that calendar that they were talking about, and it looks like garbage, honestly. If I bought this issue back in 1949 just for the calendar, I would have been so pissed. The Funny Man Crimes. They really couldn't think of a title for this one, could they? Joker's in prison and all the other prisoners are watching Babbitt and Toskello, which I think is very cute. And he's actually jealous of the fact that they all think that they are really funny and they don't think that the Joker is very funny at all. He comes up with a pretty smart plan to get out of prison where he basically makes the officers think that they found out that the Joker has a buried treasure somewhere, and then they force him to take them there so that he can, give them over the loot, basically. But it turns out that it was actually a bomb that he planted way before, so he escapes when they try to dig up the treasure. It might have been the single smartest thing the Joker has done so far in the entire comic, and then it's followed by a very stupid thing where he forgets a scene that he already had, where he tries to take Batman's mask off, and then he's like, wait a second, actually, I like the thing that we have going on here. I don't usually talk about the things in between the stories because I don't think it's very relevant, but now they're slowly starting to introduce these mini stories where they're like trying to teach kids morals, which I think is very cool. The story itself, there's nothing really wrong with. It's basically Batman just saying, don't be racist. Don't believe those crackpot lies about people who worship differently, or whose skin is of a different color, or whose parents come from another country. Remember our American heritage of freedom and equality. Anyway, like I said, nothing really wrong with this, except for the fact that, like, the person who is the target of this prejudice does not get a single line of dialogue, and it's just a bunch of white people talking about his situation. That's maybe not great, but what's really not great, the next page, right after this one, trigger warning, very racist imagery. Can you spot the